Today's video is gonna be a 2 looks video with the Starry Skies eyeshadow palette by Glossgods. I, at the moment that I'm filming this, do not know when they are gonna launch this, if they are even gonna launch this. I do not know that for sure, but this was in the advent calendar that I unboxed a couple of weeks ago, and last year they actually put their holiday launch eyeshadow palette in their advent calendar as well. So I'm actually making an educated guess, and I'm gonna say this is gonna be their holiday palette. It's gonna be coming out soon. And I'm gonna be doing 2 looks, so let's get into it. Alright, so first about the palette. This is the Starry Skies palette. Seems like the same format as the Dancing Lights palette, which is a palette that at the moment that I'm filming this, they are bringing back, but I don't know exactly when that will be. But that is quality-wise like my favorite eyeshadow palette that Glossgods has done so far. It is so good. I love the shimmers, I love the mattes. It is vibrant, okay, and it works really well. So now we have the Starry Skies eyeshadow palette, and in this palette we have 15 shades. It's very smoky neutrals, so kind of like silvery, white, icy colors as well. And then we also have blues. And this is just the swatches amazingly. We have some really nice iridescent shades. It goes from light to really deep. It can go really smoky. And I'm gonna be doing 2 looks with this palette. One a little bit more neutral and one a little bit more colorful and blue. Okay, it is time for the first look that I'm gonna do with the Glossgods Starry Skies palette. And I'm very excited, and I'm just gonna be doing a smoky look with maybe a pop of blue, but I'm gonna be doing a more blue look as the next look. Like today it's gonna be a little bit more like minimal, not minimal per se, but a little bit more neutral-ish. Alright, I'm gonna start out with this shade, which is called Bleak. Interesting name. I don't think I've ever come across an eyeshadow named Bleak. By the way, I'm already wearing some eye primer. This one kind of looks like it's gonna be a somewhat warm shade, but I think the only reason it kind of looks like that is because it's next to all of these blues and grays. Like, okay, this on the lid, this is not a warm tone shade, okay? This is basically my skin color. It's the most neutral in undertone of the bunch, a little powdery. Maybe this is turning out a little bit lighter than I was expecting. We'll see how everything else builds on top of that. And then I think this is gonna be a little bit more neutral than this shade. So we have Frigid and we have Eclipse, and I feel like Eclipse has a little bit more of an undertone there. So I'm gonna use that one to deepen up the crease. I'm hoping that one is gonna be a little bit darker. Otherwise I'll have to dip into the black, which I was kind of hoping with this palette that wasn't necessary. It looks pretty dark on the brush, but of course now I applied a very light shade first, which is usually not recommended if you want to have depth in a look, but I just didn't think it was gonna be this light, so you learn something new every day. This is turning out pretty much gray. Yeah, I feel like this would have been a little bit better if I would have started out with this shade, because now it's all looking a little like light and dusty, but we're still getting some contrast. I think it's gonna be fine. My neighbors and their motorcycles. Alright, I'm just gonna blend the edge a little bit with that first brush with that more neutral shade. Okay, now the next look really has to be more intense. We don't have that many shades for the crease, so I'll probably try in the second look to use a gray tone like this from the palette and really get it to look intense. That's gonna be the goal. Okay, I'm gonna grab a brush for the lower lash line. I did wash some brushes. Okay, so using that same shade. Yeah, that is more smoky. Because, yeah, this is what color it would get, how deep it would go if you don't put that first shade down. So here you go. Should I try and deepen up the outer corner a little bit more with a more precise brush? A little bit less fluffy. That's kind of working. Let's go. Let's do this. Yeah, this is great. This is much better. Yeah, I'm liking this. Am I not in the middle? I always get so into the zone of doing my makeup. Yeah, this is looking good. Okay, I've gone a little bit too far with the other eye. Like, we're getting into the panda zone now, so I might have to clean that up. Let me see how far I get with a little bit of blending. At least so far, I feel like the gray is working better for me than the gray from the gray palette that they came out with, I think 2 or 3 years ago for holiday. What palette was that? The smoky palette. Was something smoky. I kind of enjoyed the palette, but the darker grays weren't it. So I feel like this is kind of like the improved version of that. This is looking a lot better. I'm gonna see at the end if I feel like I need to fix this a little bit. Okay, so I might have lied a little bit. I think this look might become a little bit more blue than I was thinking, because I kind of want to try this shade, because for the bluer look, I want to go into this darker blue and in Frosty and maybe in Skyline. And this one is kind of like an undercover blue, but I definitely want to get that one on my eye today. And this one also seems to have a little bit of hollow in it maybe, or like multicolored shimmer. It looks really interesting. So that is Stargazing. This one is really soft and kind of silvery, but I think it can pull a little bit more gray, a little bit more blue, a little bit more purple, depending on what you do with it. So yeah, I kind of feel like there's gonna be maybe a little bit of fallout in my future with this one. So I'm just gonna apply it gently. But yeah, maybe I should have gotten a little less on my finger. Stunning though. The shimmers by Glossgods are just intense. That is so nice. Is this really a neutral look? Is this actually a neutral-ish palette? It is like, it's more like a very muted blues and smoky tones. That is stunning. Okay, so this shimmer is just, it's next level. It's really nice. I think for the inner corner, I kind of, it's hard, it's difficult, but I think I kind of want to go into this kind of cool tone champagne shade. I think this one might pull the look a little bit more towards the neutral side that I was trying to achieve. But yeah, this look isn't feeling as neutral as I was thinking. All right, I'm gonna take a brush. And I believe that this one was, yeah, this one is very pigmented, very creamy, applies perfectly with a brush. Like, that doesn't always happen with shimmers. That's really nice. Adds a little bit of almost warmth to the look. I'm gonna apply a little bit under here as well, right under there. Blending this a little bit. I'm kind of thinking this look needs a little bit of that black. Should I just go for it? Really commit. Let me just see about this blend. Or should I just apply the black as a liner? I think I might do that. Alright, so we're going into midnight hour. And I do always think that with a really smoky look, it kind of works for me. Because it kind of just like blends in. This kind of looks like it could have been a navy. Not because of the actual shade not being pigmented, but because it kind of like blends in with everything else. So I'm gonna apply a bit over here as well. I think I'm kind of liking that. And I think I'm gonna go over with a little bit of Eclipse to kind of like blend that out. Just for a slight bit of a softer look, lightly. There is definitely fallout, but there's also glitter glue from Glossgods that you can use, or from any other brand. That is pretty smoked out. I feel like it's looking maybe a little weird. I don't know what it is. Is it looking weird? I think it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Once I apply some mascara, it's gonna be fine. Okay, so this is gonna be the finished first look, and I am loving how this looks. I'm loving the kind of like zeros moment with this, with the pinky lip, the pinky cheek, and then the super shimmery, icy, kind of like smoky look. So far, this palette is definitely what I was expecting, what I was thinking it was gonna be. I do feel like I could have made it a little bit more smoky if I started out with the darker color. Gonna try it in the next look. So far, I'm very into this, I'm very excited. The shimmers by Glossgods, they just never disappoint. And I'm just kind of getting into these more smoky looks. I don't know what it is. I used to not love these on myself, and I feel like sometimes I don't, but with a little bit of sparkle, I just feel like it makes it look a little bit more light and airy and a little bit more ethereal, and it is a little bit more like my makeup style. So I'm really into this palette. Can't wait to try the blue shimmers as well. So let's get into the second look. All right, it is time for the second look, and as I said, I'm gonna see if I can really build up the crease and get a little bit more darkness in the crease. So I'm gonna go into the shade called Frigid, and I'm gonna start out my crease with that. I am already wearing an eye primer, and I'm just gonna see what this does when applied first, but I'm already seeing so much pigment and so much drama here. Like, this is That is a good shade. Well, unless it doesn't blend right now, but I am hopeful. Like, this is a lot more like impactful than what I was doing before in the first look. That is looking amazing. Okay, what was I doing in this first look? Oh yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago, by the way, so that's why I'm a little forgetful. But I did apply that kind of like brownish shade first, and that just made everything look much, much lighter. But this is showing me, okay, there is depth to be done with this palette without actually going into the black right away. This is looking good. All right, this definitely needs to be blended a little more, a little better, but I feel like the way this sits on my skin in the outer corner, it's just looking very good, very promising. I'm excited. Like, this is proving to me that this palette can do what I want it to do. All right, I think I'm gonna go into a little bit of shade Freezing. So this kind of like very, very gray blue or very, very blue gray. And I'm gonna blend the edges a little bit. Let me see what brush. I gotta wash my brushes again. All right, so a little bit of Freezing. I'm just gonna take a little. I'm gonna go on the edge, and I think that's gonna turn this gray a little bit more like blue and smoky. Love that. Gonna use a little bit underneath as well and just smoke this out. Yeah, I think that's looking good. I kind of feel like this eye is coming out a little bit better than this eye. Like a little bit better, but who doesn't have a bad eye? Like, there's always that one eye that doesn't want to cooperate. I'm gonna go into that shade Freezing once more with the same brush, and I'm just gonna apply this in the inner part of my crease right here. That kind of pulls a little bit lighter on the eye than I would expect it to. Like a little different than I was thinking. Not in a bad way, but it has a little bit of brightness to it. This is looking really nice. I feel like this is gonna be a good look. All right, to get this look to be as blue as possible, I think I have to go into the shade called Polaris. This kind of like darker, like, is it a midnight blue? Kind of like a navy blue. It's looking really beautiful. This is what we're gonna do on most of the lid. And I feel like this one was one of the more smooth colors probably. So it definitely has a very, very dark base. I would say almost black. And then it has a kind of like brighter blue shift to it. It's looking really beautiful. I don't think this shade is gonna have a lot of fallout. I think it's gonna be one of the almost more satin ones. It still has a lot of like pigment and glow to it, but it's a little bit more satin. That's really cool. But also I'm gonna have to do some blending to make that blend into the outer corner a little bit more like naturally, organically. But that's a really beautiful color. I'm gonna see if I can blend the edge a little bit without taking more product, but I might have to go into the black shade. But let's see what I can do with a little bit of blending. Like, this is actually blending out quite nicely. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Might do a little bit of something in the outer corner, like a little bit more in the outer corner in the end. But we're gonna be lightening up this look a bit. Ooh, I feel like there are so many good options. I feel like there is so much that I want to do, and I don't fully remember what I did in the first look, but this frosty shade looks so good. Did I try that? I feel like I didn't. And then we have Skyline. This is a little bit more like greenish blue, also really beautiful. Should I try a bit of Skyline? I'm sure that I didn't use that in the first look. Okay, note to self, do not do the second look in a video 2 weeks later. Like, this is not very practical, I must admit to myself. Okay, so I feel like this one is also a little bit more on the smooth side. Like, not in a bad way, but not all of these shades are like super like chunky, piecey. Like, I love that they do a variety of formulas. That is what I love in a palette. I don't mind the satin, I don't mind the standard shimmer, not at all. I just want to be able to layer things and just kind of create my own version of this shimmer. So if everything is satin, I'm not always the biggest fan. So this is looking like such a beautiful color. Like, and it's also kind of like duochrome. It almost has something very smoky, purpley blue, and then it shifts to kind of like muted aqua. Very, very nice. I'm excited. I just want to do a bunch of looks with all of these different shimmers. Get to know this palette. This is so nice. And it still has a little bit of dimension. It still has a little bit of shimmer to it, but it's just not the most shimmery, crazy thing that you have in this palette. I feel like some more blending is necessary right over here. Like, why is it looking weird? Let's fix that. Let's do something about it. Sometimes there's kind of like this gap between the mattes and the shimmers, especially when it's a dark shimmer like this. All right, I feel like this is really going into the right direction. It's not gonna be a bright blue look. It's really like a smoky palette with a bit of a bluish feel to it. Okay. I cannot contain myself. I'm gonna go into the shade Frosty as well. And I'm gonna just apply this on top a little bit, add some shimmer, layer a little bit, play around. This is just looking so good. It's a little flaky. It's really like vibrant. Like that shift is looking amazing. This one is a little bit more chunky. It's kind of almost like a cornflower blue. Oh, okay. Am I gonna drop this all over my face? Okay, this is... Okay, be a little bit careful with this. I say that mainly to myself. I took way too much on my finger. It's just a little bit more of a flaky shade. This is blue and it is very beautiful. This is a lot more like true blue. It's taken away the seafoam color a little bit, but I don't mind it. This is really cute. I still don't feel like this is overly chunky. Like really beautiful shimmer so far. Okay, some shimmer did fall on my face, but besides that, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I do not remember what I used in my inner corner for the last look. Of course, I don't. But I want to go into the shade called Chili. This is what we're going to do in the inner corner. I feel like I haven't tried that yet. Like, this is such a pale blue and I love a matte inner corner. So this is for sure what we're going to do. Like, this is calling my name. Alright, I'm taking a Singe E01. That is just the best brush ever for a matte inner corner. That is bright. That is really, really bright. I love that. I love that a lot. It's just a nice icy addition to this look. Yeah, this is really pulling it together for me. Like, this is so good. Okay, do I want to do a shimmer on the lower lash line? Do I want to do something? I kind of want to go crazy. And I want to go into this shade called Starry Night. This is a black shimmery shade. It matches my nail polish perfectly. This nail polish is more of a like gray hollow, but because this black or like charcoal has so much silver shimmer in it, I feel like it lightens it up a little bit. I want to do a little bit of that on the lower lash line. I think it's gonna be really beautiful. And I'm just gonna take a pencil brush and I'm gonna hope for the best because this does look a little bit flaky, so it could also just fall all over my face. This is such a cool shade. I love the effect that gives. This is such a nice look. I need a dark gray eyeliner for the inner corner. This is Catrice 20-hour Ultra Precision Gel Eye Pencil, waterproof in shade 020 Gray. Usually they are a little bit more creative with their shade names, but I guess with this eyeliner they were like, whatever, it's gray. Just call it gray. I think I'm gonna go all out with this look and I'm just gonna once again finish it with the black. I am just really going for it with this palette. Usually I wouldn't, but I feel like it just fits the vibe, it fits the look. We're gonna go with the black. I feel like whenever I use this black, and this is the second time I'm using it, so what do I really know? But I just feel like it blends in with the rest of the shadows so easily. But now it looks like I have used a dark blue eyeliner and I feel like this is looking great. I am a big fan. I'm loving the lip with it as well. Yeah, I'm into it. I think it's pretty clear that I am a big fan of this palette. Like, I had a little bit of a hiccup there at the start because I was expecting something a little bit different from the light brown, but now that I kind of have gotten to know this palette and like how it works, I am so excited. I feel like the shimmers are so interesting. We have so many different options. We have so many different like formulas. I love that you can layer and mix and match, and we have different undertones, different tones. It can go a little bit more neutral, but you can also go as blue as this. So yeah, as I said, smoky with a little bit of blue thrown in there as well. It definitely makes me think of the night sky. This is a palette for smoky lovers. If you love a really smoky look, this is for you. If you don't like cool tones, this is not for you at all, because this is cool toned, as cool toned basically as it's gonna get. A very smoky. Alright, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.